Okay, for roll call. Alexandria is absent. Brian. David is absent. Dawn. Kimberly. You had what? Here. Will.
Present.
And Lori has not joined us yet.
Alrighty, well, we do have a one, but it's gonna repeat, so we'll just keep on moving forward here. Public comment, does anybody wish to speak on anything that is not included on tonight's agenda? Oh, okay,
Well, actually, I'll kind of take this opportunity, because in my public comment that I did provide for pickleball stuff, I did kind of just mention the comment that, which really doesn't lend itself that much to pickleball, but just, I guess what I've, now that we've got our master plan done, we've got our SDCs done, passed, and we have some funding in there. I am anxious to see us look at some land acquisition for ball fields. I think that's something that was identified as a need. We don't necessarily have to develop them right away. That can be a longer priority, but land isn't getting any cheaper. And we bought Ornstead Park land bank that for over 5 years before we ever built that. And so just the opportunity to, I've seen land around the city, a lot of it's now getting turned into solar panel fields, things like that. So I think there's some opportunities to find some flat ground out there for ball fields, and I hope you all if that's something that you're supportive of, then it'd be nice to kind of get started on at least the look and see what properties might be available.
thank you very much. We'll do that consent agenda, we have a couple of sets of minutes, anybody want to make a motion to approve minutes tonight? Motion to approve minutes. Got a motion and a second, all those in favor of approving the minutes, signify of October 12th and December 14th, signify by saying aye. Aye. Excellent, we are flying through the, look at this, going to be one night. Are there any changes to the agenda? Perfect, we are cruising through there. New business. Parking fund money. Materials included, Rochelle.
Okay.
Slackline.
Okay. Well, good evening. First of all, I'll just take a second and introduce myself. There's a lot of good faces, so it's really, really wonderful to see people so engaged in what we're working on at Parks and Trails. So my name is Rochelle Enderholm Parsh. I'm the Park and Recreation Director, and it's been a little bit over a year that I've been in that role. It's just, it's been such a privilege to work with everybody and work with the Parks Board. So I'm going to talk a little bit about community campus, and then I'm going to hand it over. I'm going to do a couple of introductions, then hand it over to our consultants that are here tonight to talk about this new community park. So it was the desire of the council in consultation with the community campus subcommittee that the Park and Recreation Department proceed with the development of the park at the community campus site. So as a quick reminder, because we might not all be familiar with the site, the community campus is roughly 14 acres and is the old Cedar Ridge Middle School. This site was purchased by the city in 2016. So since the purchase, there have been ongoing efforts to identify what to do with the site. And excitingly, in 2022, so just recently, there was a decision made to proceed with the park improvements first, and then later continue the conversations of the front half and later. So therefore, the Parks Department advertised an RFP for the design and engineering work for the community campus park development plan. We received 4 submittals. The process to pick the preferred consultant was conducted by a selection committee. And that selection committee consisted of the Park and Rec Director, the Development Services Director, Parks Manager, the Parks Board Chair, and then a member of the CCS was present during the interviews. First, the selection committee interviewed different grades, and then we moved the top 3 firms on for an interview. And after the grading process was completed, it was clear that Mungo Hansen was the preferred consultant. The second contract that was awarded was to American Ramp Company. So based on previous public input found in the Parks and Trails master plan, it was apparent that a pump track and a skate park and the replacement of the deteriorated and aging skate park was the preferred park element. So American Ramp Company we have with us tonight, Betty Thurston, is a highly reputable recreation sport design and build firm. So for example, Bello Solutions, which is under American Ramp Company, has completed over 498 contracts in 32 countries. Staff called numerous references, and based on other agency professional input, city determined that a direct contract with ARC would be the best choice and has many benefits. One of these benefits will be ARC will work on the design of the pump track and bike park and skate park under one umbrella. And this is unique to them, and they have a very focused and engaging public engagement process for those amenities. ARC will work alongside Lego Hansen to create the best layout of site design. And it's going to be a very collaborative approach between landscape architect, American Ramp Company, city staff, and a project advisory committee. These contracts were awarded on January 3rd. There was an intent to award issued, and then since then, it's been about a week, and we've been in full steam ahead. So Lakeland Hansen is going to manage several site design refinement, public engagement, several engineers. They're going to provide cost estimates, construction documents, construction permits, bid assisting, and eventually construction observation. So the next 3 months are critical and fast paced. Lakeland Hansen is helping the department write a grant, which is due April 1st. If we receive this grant, it could mean an additional $500,000 plus to the park project. So cross your fingers for that for us. Send good vibes. Over the next 3 months, we'll be working with staff, American Ramp Company, Lakeland Hansen. We're going to meet with the Parks Board several different times before that date. There'll be multiple open houses, and we're going to do online surveys. We're also looking for people, Parks Board, if you're interested in helping out with any of these open house events where you could be at a table, talk to the community, and helping advocate for the project. So if you're interested, please definitely reach out to us. We're always looking for people to help. And if you want to be engaged, we would love that. Presently, the team is currently working on making fact sheets and flyers, and we just built a website today where we're hoping to do our first push for media on Friday. So it's really moving full steam ahead. So I'm thrilled to be working with Lego Hansen, the American Ramp Company, the Project Advisory Committee, the Parks Board. This will be the first park that we'll have developed since 2014, which was Boardstead Park. So really, really excited about this. And it meets one of the goals that's a priority in our Parks and Trails Master Plan. So I guess without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Brian Martin, who is with Lego Hansen. And again, just pleased to be working with them. And we'll take it over from here.
Thank you. So yes, as you mentioned, we definitely hit the ground running, and it was like, man, we've only been working on a week for, I think it's like much longer than that. Gathering all the information that we can. Very excited to be working on this project. I'm the only one here tonight from our team, but I just wanted to take a minute and acknowledge other folks in my office. Kurt Lango, the principal there, he's deeply involved with the project, and Carly Boyce is also helping out full time from our staff. You might remember JLA from public involvement for the Parks and Trails Master Plan update. We brought them on to help facilitate all the public engagement throughout this process. Also brought on civil, electrical, geotechnical engineers. Surveyors are out there right now. We should be getting a total survey back next week. So things are really moving along. And we're just excited to be here tonight to speak with you guys, show the information that we've collected to date, but also use this really as a sounding board to hear back from you guys, to get input as we ultimately prepare. We'll be going for council to get their input next week. And then there's later in the month, we'll talk about schedule in a minute. There's the first public meeting, so we'll be presenting to them as well. So I really see this as a sounding board tonight. Okay. So there's a lot of text here, and Michelle already gave us a pretty great background here. But basically, in this meeting tonight, moving forward, we just want to acknowledge there's been work done on site, and there's a lot of institutional knowledge. We really want to take a moment to gather that as we move forward. There's work that's been done, and it's not a vacuum that we're designing into. the bottom, you can see a number of bulleted items that have been identified as rising to the top as fitting for this site, things that fit well with the context of the site, values that the community want to see developed, including playgrounds and informal play areas, bike pump track, skate park, more robust one to replace the skate park that's there on site right now. Extensive site grading and the removal of the existing track for the school, along with picnic areas, parking areas. And it's not listed here, but just a connection to the broader regional network of park to the north and the trail system as well. And I think, you know, in some ways it might feel like we've gone through master planning before, and why is more planning required? But it almost feels like maybe taking one small step back in order to take one really strong step forward. And this is really awesome. So this is a lot of small text here, so bear with me. Just broad scale, what we have on top is the 3-year represents 2023. 2024 and 2025, just a project schedule, and then zooming in to this, what we've referenced, it's very fast track, essentially leading up to that April 1st grant submission deadline to the Oregon State Parks grant. It's a lot of programming between now and then in January, February, March, but we're pretty comfortable that we can do a very thorough job of that public engagement. Really taking a lot of time to map out key milestones of what it takes to get the work done on time and involving all the key stakeholders and all the voices, both the committees and also the broader public. So just going by colors, if we go back up to the top there, those first 3 months are just the programming and design phase. That gets expanded at the bottom there. That will then in 2023. The grant gets written and submitted in April. We jump right into construction documents. That's where we start making buildable drawings, and it tells them how to go out and construct the park. And then we're ultimately looking at getting land use approval in October of this year. Simultaneous in that period is when we start doing bidding. Seems like based on our experience over the years, that end of the year time cycle is a really good year to put a project out to bid. Contractors lining up all their work for the coming year. And we feel pretty comfortable with that. Dropping down from that purple bidding and permitting down to the blue bar there. That's basically starting very early in 2024 for the construction of the park. We're saying a generous 11 months to construct that. We want to leave enough time as we present these numbers to the public so that it's not rushed. And then we've got park grand opening early 2025. And I should stop at this point, just throw it out there. If anybody has any questions along the way, definitely feel free to interrupt me.
Can you let somebody in for us?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Just general question, financing other than, say we get a $500,000 bid grant, what is the open number of the?
As far as the total potential available funding. So we would be accessing SDCs. Currently in that fund, we have about $1.7 million. And we would use a portion of that for this project. And then there's $3 million that was left over in the SURA fund in cash from the original purchase of the Cedar Ridge Middle School. So
I thought when you started to sign a phased approach with the skate park and the pump track, is that what this Gantt chart represents, or is this the entire?
This is more of the entire, like if we go through the first yellow and then that salmon color, that's the design of the whole park. And when, Michelle, maybe you can speak to this as well, when we start to get the costs in, the bids in, there are ways to phase it if needed. We see what the values of the community are, what the dollars are that it takes to get there. We're often working. So then jumping down to the here and now, those 3 columns on the bottom, that represents January, February, and March. You'll see, obviously you can't read it from here, but There's several different repeating colors. Those just represent different groups that we'll be meeting with, including this group here. We met with the project advisory committee earlier this week and got some great feedback from them. Basically, January is really our fact-finding month, where we are reaching out to the community, doing all of our digging, historical research, understanding the planning that's been done to date, taking that, transitioning into February, where we develop 3 site plan concepts that we come back to each of the committees and the public to present to them for their input. That leads into March, where we present one final refined plan to each of the committees and the public as well. The very bottom olive color that represents we'll start basically February 1st with that grant writing and grant application. We'll front load that and then incorporate the final design into that and be ready, excuse me, to submit that in a timely manner.
How much confidence do you have in the grant?
Do I have a crystal ball? Is that what you're asking? No, we have done this a number of times for other jurisdictions with quite a bit of success. For parks of this scale, parks of smaller, bigger scale, for communities similar size. And so we've been around the block with that, so we feel pretty confident that it's successful.
And the chair of the committee that reviews the grants.
I'm not the chair this year.
Oh, you're not the chair.
No,
Getting corrected.
but anyway,
Doesn't hurt.
Steve guys, the chair, but I'm on the committee. I was just looking, I got a notice from the staff person today with a little bit of information on the grant cycle that we're coming up to and the dollar amounts available. Yeah, it was 5.9, I think, for large grants. That would be available on a statewide basis. Those are matching grants. Grants that have the highest success rate have higher matches, so they're able to put in $4 million, that's for $500,000. Ups our chances quite a bit. We're able to demonstrate we have a wide variety of activities and functions going on that meet certain criteria from the state and for the county both. But that goes up quite a bit if we can show that we're rehabilitating an existing facility, saying turning old junior high school into a nice park, then that increases the likelihood quite a bit. We can show that we're making improvements that are ADA compliant, and that raises it up. And if we can show that we have linkages into multimodal transportation, bike lanes, hiking paths, walkways, connections to other significant parks within the area, such as Sandy River Park, which is our master plan that shows linkages into a really wide hiking trail, walking trail. That increases our chance. So I think that we're pretty well positioned, can't guarantee anything, and I do have to recuse myself from the reporting process on it. But I feel pretty good about our chances.
Along with the content of the design and the working principles that we'll be hitting on is level of community support and involvement. I mean, support letters that are written and support the project, those go along ways. There's community testimony, it's good, and we'll be soliciting that as well as part of the process. Any other questions on schedule? I know there's a lot there, there's a lot happening in the next 3 months really, and it can settle down into a traditional design schedule after that point. Next slide. There's a couple of slides here that deal with the public engagement. These are, honestly, they're a bit text heavy. This isn't exactly what we're going to show up to the open house and have people reading. It's more just the behind the scenes tape for you guys to take a look at. We just wanted to take a minute and speak to just really the level of public engagement, public outreach that is going to be, it already is happening and that will be happening. Michelle mentioned the development of the website. Actually, that we're developing stakeholder interviews, the meeting with this group and the other advisory groups. Then there's the large text, right, those 3 key open houses, soliciting public input, those will be really important. Just making sure that the project is up to speed at every level of the design. Then tabling events, that's just setting up, the farmers market event, or any public space, just to get the word out about this project. There's a long list down at the bottom of target audience, sports groups, people groups, public organizations. We're just really putting our feelers out in a lot of different directions. The really robust public outreach opportunity.
So website or web design extension.
It'll be standalone, but we will be utilizing Sandy Speaks to access training position. To be in Speaks. It's in Sandy Speaks. I live over in this area, so where the skate park is, Scenic Meadows. Is there that neighborhood? It's gonna take over the track and everything.
Yes.
And the fields are now.
Yes.
So that whole
Yeah.
area will they be removing the track?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that. But yeah, I mean, having a walking trail all around the edge of it will replace that.
Yeah.
So we're, possible exercise stations and benches and things like that. So we definitely want to maintain that use.
Yeah. Go from walking in the oval to a nice.
Yeah, I prefer that.
And with direct connections to trails abroad. Right. Here, right next door, but thank you. So these are just, again, some key talking points that are guiding some of our guiding principles, the background of the project itself. And being, the whole reason why this park is here. And I think a lot of this Rochelle already spoke to. And these are just the bottom of how you can get involved. I think this is content that will start to incorporate into some of our boards that we have in the open house, so people stay engaged with the project, know that their voices.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't see on this though, from the other day, that it's really important for everybody to understand is there is no developed park in any of the whole northeast quadrant of Sandy. So when we did our inventory of all what we have now, there's Sandy River Park, but it's really not, it's a passive forested area. And so this is a critical need to provide a developed park facility for the northeast quadrant, every northeast being east of Lot and north of the highway. So a lot of folks live in that, all the way to Vista Loop and all that. So it's a large area that doesn't have any parks. It's a desert.
Yeah.
So this next slide, the next number of slides are maybe more representational of what the boards might start to look like at our public open house. And probably be actually about the size of this board, but we'll be able to get closer to it. A lot of the boards might be interactive, where people can express their opinions and thoughts on the board itself. So I think with all sites, and this one in particular, it's really important to start to take a step back. Where is this park sit within the city itself? The pinkish color on the bottom is downtown there, the 2 one-way streets. The purple there is the city-owned property, the same gray school, orange, and then there's the forest right there. So this park is really that bridge between the city itself and the park. The yellow are future trails, some of them being constructed more in the short term, and they'll be leading right up to our park here. That's the context that's really important to share with people, help them understand a lot of the considerations going into this. It's not just the 10, 12 acres of surrounded by that red line, but what influences this on all sides. And then
0 to 9, and it really only does what it wants to. Battery gets too low in the truck, it doesn't operate. Blows fuses, does all kinds of stupid crap.
David, you're not muted.
And now they're not. But
Oh, sorry.
One out of lettuce, 3.
So this next plan starts to show the site itself, zoomed in more. Eventually, as we move forward past the site inventory stage, even at the site inventory stage, you start to see, there's the existing track here, you start to see faintly on this, some of the topography of the site, there's a considerable amount of drop from the south east corner to the northwest corner. That'll play into the design. And ultimately, this plan will start to show the improvements that we're proposing. February will be 3 different options, March will be a refined plan. And maybe in some areas of the park, there'll be a plan past this, it zooms in even more to give that much level more detail. Skate park, pump track, so we take a closer look at those. Looking at the park as a whole in this plan. I guess one thing in terms of the setup of the open house that I didn't mention, our idea is to have a number of boards around the open house, as opposed to having one person presenting just for the entire time. Board set up, all those boards with folks attending them from our office and some of the other consultants who can answer questions and interact with some of our staff and with the boards themselves. Makes it a bit more personal and helps people to have, I don't know, just maybe a better experience and more engaging than just listening and being told, being able to ask more questions. So the number of points on this is a draft of the guiding principles that have been developed for this park, and what is important as we move forward, as we start to get our pen out and start to put ideas onto the page. What's going to guide us? What, based on past interactions with the public and staff, number of key things here. And I think, these are important enough that it might bear just to read through them so that we don't hear them out loud. And definitely, if you have thoughts or feedback as we're going through these, we want to hear that. So I think leading off with creating a unique park, why does this park, what does this park say about Sandy? Why does this park belong in Sandy? Some of it relates to the school context around it, but others relates to that intangible character of Sandy and the history of the town itself. Already touched on the next one in some ways, providing connectivity down to the Sandy River Park trails, as well as the adjoining neighborhood and the community abroad. Ensuring there's safe vehicular access, parking, and car access for all park users. And I would add to that also pedestrian access. That's the priority. Next one is to provide opportunities. This, as we saw in that slide, provide opportunities for interactive nature. This is set right next to the forest, so it's just there to be taken advantage of. This next one, there'll be a slide later on that speaks to this, is promoting community through spaces that encourage social gathering activities. What does that look like? How does that flesh itself out? Really, the next one deals with providing multiple skill levels for our ages, multiple physical abilities, making sure that we're targeting a broad range, meeting everybody in the community so that everyone's welcome. And then lastly is kind of summing a lot of the stuff is creating recreational opportunities for visitors, but then also with the idea that it can really enhance the economic vitality and attract people for tourism. So it's a really key point there. So I guess at this point, I just want to take a brief pause if there's any questions about any of these. Input on any of these, anybody?
Do you have any comments or questions?
Is the pup cat moving down the attractions? Or is that still just kind of set in the
To be determined.
Yeah,
it's still the teacher?
I'll kind of speak to those last two bullet points because I've been kind of doing some conceptual planning on this park for a couple of years now. And like for skill levels. I think what I heard from, we have some extremely talented folks in our community with skate parks. I'm not skating at all, I don't know where it was, but I know there's a lot of folks who grew up on it. And the one guy started the International Skateboard Association Education Association, who's designed several skate parks. And it was when I met with him, he talked about, some of the folks that you get involved in these processes really want, the double black diamond, really challenging skate parks. And what he said was it's so important to create a skate park that for all skill levels, for the little kids to be able to build their skills over time and really and get better over time. And so having that range, and same with the pump track, having, what I did a lot of research on pump tracks and having kind of a beginner's pump track where they're not having to compete with the, more aggressive riders is really important. All ages most of our parks in Sandy, 19 parks in Sandy are the actual active development facilities are the playgrounds, and most of those are developed, as I said in my letter, for under age 8. And we really don't have an older kids playground. Big climbing towers, the in-ground embankment slides, the more challenging things. And so having, really I'm hopeful that the playground that we develop here is for kids that will be excited, age 8 to 12 to 21 or older. And then the last part is that physical abilities we also don't have any of the fully accessible play structures in any of our parks. We've got a couple of swings that kind of go there, but having that all abilities to deal with some physically challenged kids, to be able to access that, having what do you call that again, Rochelle? Inclusive play structures, having inclusive play structures here is also something we don't have it in any of our other parks, and so I'm hopeful that this place can kind of provide that. And then with the economic vitality and tourism, having a pump track, possibly a bike skills park around that or something. A lot of folks go up to Sandy Ridge. Well, sometimes maybe dad and kids can stay down here and play on the pump track, and mom can go up with her friends and go riding in at Sandy Ridge. And so having that kind of offering an alternative to Sandy Ridge here in Sandy would really help develop, I think, our tourism. So I'm excited about that opportunity here. And you could also have lots of contests, both skating and pump track type competitions and things. Red Bull used to do a really big, huge international competition that some of the bigger skate pump tracks have taken advantage of. So kind of neat opportunities. And
any other questions or comments? From my perspective, I've been involved in a few planning efforts over the years. Because I look at the schedule, it's incredibly impressive, and it really is. And it'll be more in this timeline. Turn around and did a viable plan and all the estimates needed to do that grant application. April 1 is mind-blowingly fast, and I can tell you that the fund really won't kick in until the February public open house meeting. That's when things start gelling, and they typically will start seeing 3 options. Options kind of come together, and people get more excited about different things. So kind of like the little games of tiles, as kids you used to be able to scoot them around and try and make them pictures of different things. But that's kind of what it becomes. Oh, we can move this over here and that, what if, start changing these, and really it's fun. And then on the third meeting, that's kind of where the rubber hits the road. Because of this timeline, that is going to have to happen very, very quickly. That's going to be a darn near finished product for the design. And it won't be, the CDs won't be construction documents. That's going to take a better part of a year to get to that point, but it is going to take that's where people will say, that's what it's going to look like. And then, of course, inevitably there will be some adjustments to that when they get into the construction documents. Suddenly, maybe the grades off the footer, so we have to start making some adjustments to that. But by March, we will know what this park is going to look like, where it's going to go, and it's all going to fit together, and it's all going to work together. And that's to me the magic of what this shows. It is such a condensed Reader's Digest version of this thing. So pretty amazing.
Yeah, and to that point, right, it's be ahead. And to that point, yeah, it's just that level of detail that needs to go into the grant. They want to know exactly how time is going to be spent, and they come back and make sure it's spent that way. So that was us doing the robust plan in the first place.
Good news.
There's a few of the slides here that we can go through just real quickly. And kind of give you a sense of what the open house will be set up as. These are really the ones that start to give folks a chance to respond, both to a list of words on one side or just images on the other side. Some of our brains think differently and respond. Basically ranking these, like what are, in this case, what are the important elements in the park? And then you don't have to pick just one, but just to see what rises to the top across all the responses.
Bottom center.
Yeah.
Like that decisiveness. How do you want to relax in the park is another way to solicit feedback. And some of these are just more feeling based, but starts to really guide the character of what that parts of the park or the whole park can really feel like. Gathering spaces in the park, just starting the creative juices going. How's this? What kind of gathering spaces? We got some really good feedback earlier this week. The advisory committee, saying there's a number of parks in town already that provide really big formal gathering spaces, covered amphitheaters, that type of thing. And we don't need to recreate that at this park. Maybe there's opportunities for smaller gathering spaces for smaller groups to come and use as it's one big gathering space, formal gathering space. Starting to look at different types of play that we could incorporate into the park. Just have you make some slide on the right.
There used to be one there. I don't know, some of you guys know that. There wasn't a banking slide there when it was the middle school. Does anybody remember that? One up here? My friends' kids used to slide down but standing up, so it was like, yeah, and it was got hot and stuff, so.
Yeah.
There's people, there's some population here, some population in Sandy that really wants that back. They were really upset when the school district took it out, so.
So there's two more slides left. Both of them deal with the skate park and the pump track. And ARC is, I think Maddie's in the line, even I don't know if she have any input you want, but these are starting to solicit, the same kind of characters as the last slides, but really zooming into two specific elements of the park itself.
Abby, are you there?
Hello, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of like what you guys were saying, we're trying to keep it really high level at this point. Just kind of want to get that feedback of what's important in a skate park, what's important in a pump track. I think Kathleen did a great job kind of capturing how we feel as a company. We want these parks to cater to all users. So we love when families come to use skate parks and pump tracks. So we're really committed to creating those spaces. So we want areas where little kids can learn how to drop in. Same with on a pump track. We want a kids track. And then we want those more advanced areas so that the kids can progress and then have a sport, for the rest of their lives. So really just kind of trying to get a feel from the community of what's important. And then, in February is when we'll really get into the nitty gritty of what do those features look like.
And do you want to take just a minute to speak to how you guys are going to be involved in the public process? I think there's unique ways how you guys be busy deciding that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the three, community engagement meetings that are going to be hosted there, we will have a representative there on site to talk with the community and look at these boards in person. We also have a couple of pro skaters on our team who also, work on designs and community engagement. So as we progress through, we'll look at opportunities to get those skaters out to Sandy. Weather permitting, they can skate with the community. Julia, she's actually an Olympian, so that's really fun to get to broadcast that. Come skate with an Olympian, share your ideas with her, and she's going to take that back to our design team, and we're going to incorporate that. So if the weather cooperates, that would be awesome. But either way, we're going to get them out there just to meet with the skaters and the bikers. I've talked to Rochelle today about setting up some virtual focus groups with some skaters in the community, so that we can really rely on them as we move through the design process to make sure, what they want to see out of a skate park, that we're giving that to you guys, right? It's your skate park, it's your community skate park. Same with the pump track. We want you guys to have ownership in this facility. So as much as your community wants to be involved, we want them to be involved in the process.
Yeah, Maddie, for a lot of people, are very familiar with the term skate park. For many people, they're not so familiar with the term pump track. Could you spend just kind of a minute or so talking about what a pump track is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So a pump track, typically when you think of pump track, you might think of a BMX track. So that's kind of the dirt bike parks traditionally where there's, people racing through the park as fast as they can. So it's a series of rollers, which are just little bumps, and then berms, which is what you're turning against. The difference between a BMX track and a pump track, BMX has a start point and a stop point. So you're racing through the track, start to finish. A pump track is actually a closed circuit. So once you get on the track, there's no end point. You just, whenever you're done, you stop pumping and you get off. There's also, if you're riding it correctly, you don't have to pedal to get through the track. So that's the term pump. You're actually pumping your body, up and down over the rollers. So kind of similar concept to whenever you're swinging and you're pumping back and forth to get the swing going. This is the same thing, just over a track. So you'll see this picture on the right. This is in St. Charles, Missouri. And I was actually out there last weekend riding the track. So there's kind of a kids area, there's a bigger pump track area, and then that left side is actually a jump line built into the pump track. So there's a ton of ways that we can get creative with what your community wants to see out of the bike park. But this track right here was about an acre in size. So, they can be anywhere from 8,000 square foot up to 35,000 square foot. So a lot of variety and a lot of things that we can play with based on what we hear from the community.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Maddie? Or Maddie, do you have anything else you want to share with us?
Nope. Rochelle has my contact information. So, throughout the next 3 months, if anybody has any questions for me or our team, feel free to reach out, and we're happy to help however we can.
Great. Thank you very much for handling this. Anything else, Brian?
That's the end of my whirlwind tour.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Her granddaughter got introduced to a recreational area that touches on this. To the southwest of Bloomington, Indiana. That was really impressive. We've never seen anything like that. The glacier known as Canada, it came down, it flattened all the rest of the state, left that hilly and wooded and streams. This really has that same spirit. It's very impressive. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
There are a lot of fun for all ages. I mean, I've gone around taking pictures of all.
They don't encourage you.
Yeah, no. There's old folks there, there's old ladies, old men, little kids on scooters, on skateboards, on, it's a
He
huge.
said the magic word.
Yeah. It's a bunch of-
Yeah, and if I can just add, so we did something really cool in Port Angeles, Washington. We actually designed and built the first Velo Solutions adaptive use pump track in North America. So if that's something your community wants, we love doing that. We actually had some adaptive use riders come out to the track as we were building it when it was still in the dirt phases. So the kids and stuff came out and rode it and told us, hey, this roller doesn't feel right, or this berm's a little steep. So we really worked one-on-one with the community during that build to make sure that adaptive use track fit their needs perfectly. And so we're really proud of that track, and we really think that's going to be something we see take off across the country is those inclusive areas, those adaptive use areas, because we want everybody to be able to have fun at action sports and have a place for them.
Very good. All righty, well, let's look forward to the process continuing on.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the January 26th public meeting.
Yeah, definitely encourage everyone to come to that.
I have a question about how, what the process is to get the communities around there involved, especially the communities close to the park and next door to the park.
Neighbors.
Yeah, how to get the word out quickly. These are open houses that are coming quickly. How do you reach those folks and give them time to get this on the calendar?
And so as a team, we've been developing flyers, we set up a website today. What we'll do is on Friday, we'll do our first social media push. I met with Pamphlet Media today to talk about options as far as how do we get it out there in print out to the homes, as well as some electronic presence on the Pamphlet website. So we're definitely making a good push, and we're going to really reach out to the residents that live by that park as well, because it's important that they know what's going on in that area.
And some of us have Facebook pages for our community, so to get somebody, and probably they're very willing to get it out to the group, to the neighborhoods, so everybody can.
You don't have a neighborhood Facebook page, do you?
We do see that.
A Scenic Meadows one? I know most of the other ones because I post on.
Yeah.
Scenic Meadows has one, I'll have to. Put it. Yeah, because I do send out a lot of info. Yeah. Oh, yeah, state administrator. Yeah.
So the site.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they'll right now.
We're exploring getting information into the utility bill. We won't make the January, but we might make February, March. Great to connect.
And we can put flyers up on the mailboxes and things like that that everybody goes to, so that's a great way, because everybody goes.
So I think it's gonna knock on doors, invite everybody to lunch.
And not done on things.
I bet you did.
Recently.
All righty.
Thank you guys.
Okay, Brian, thank you very much. I'm sure you know, other places need to be there.
No more meetings.
Oh, that's gonna be 11. Okay, so moving along, item number 6.2. Pickleball presentation. I'm gonna turn it over to Rochelle.
Okay. I'll go through a quick overview, and I can share my screen. I need a PowerPoint, which I thought was regardless here. Here. Okay, well, while we work on that, we'll bring up the PowerPoint. So tonight's topic is about the future of pickleball at CMU Oregon. So as a popular, wonderful sport that is growing in popularity, and I have a feeling it's going to be with us for a really long time. I noticed that there, Stephen Colbert is hosting a pickleball competition with Will Ferrell was on, I think, the other night, and which is rather entertaining. So if you haven't checked it out, do.
So they're a junior high sports, right?
It's great. It's Stephen Colbert. And great. And then KGW just, I mean, it seems like it's on the news, pickleball pretty frequently. So it's really, I appreciate the community's interest and great to know. So yeah, that's why we're bringing it to our sport tonight, is to have a discussion. So staff, when we started to receive information from the community, we started to how and what can we do currently? What are our current amenities? what are our options with our existing amenities, and let's look into future parks that we might be building. So those are the three things we're gonna be discussing tonight. Ooh, I share my screen. Three of you, so you're wrong with that.
Oh, my goodness.
It's funny. That would be difficult, I didn't even think about that. Okay, try that. Okay, yep. Third time. Funny. Yeah. All right, so we're talking about the three things we're going to be speaking to tonight. Okay, current opportunities to play pickleball in the city of Sandy. So right now, we have the opportunity to play at Cedar Ridge Middle School. And there's a little bit of history here that the city partnered with the school district to add pickleball lines to the existing tennis courts, which are owned and operated by the school district. So the Parks Department secured and organized the donation of time and material and installed a storage box to store and provide access to publicly available racket, pickleball nets, and balls. They were also provided the time and the donation to resurface and paint the courts. The public pays an annual fee of $20 to the Parks Department to have access to the storage box that's on site. And just a little bit of a data here, in 2022, there were 34 people who paid the annual fee to the Parks Department. The courts at the middle school are available to the public after school hours, during the weekends, and during summer, the school district programs are not scheduled. So for example, courts would not be available during summer school times, possibly Monday through Friday from 8 to noon. So hours and access are controlled by the school district. There is indoor options at the Montford Athletic Club. And so according to their website, that's available on Mondays from 4 to 7 and one court Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 11 to 1. And then I threw this last bullet point on here. Whoops, sorry. And I did see that there's a new indoor pickleball court that opened up in Clackamas County called We Are Rex. And so I had the website there, but it looks really,
It's a cool site.
Yeah.
We have
nine courts.
That's the old soccer center.
But it's very expensive, so we're gonna expensive. Oh, yeah, it's, if you're, you can go in there, they have great uniform lessons and good things. But if you wanna go there and play, it's like $15. For one person. If you get more people, then. Yeah. Yeah. So it is very expensive. The facility is beautiful. The courts are really nice. They are they're having more and more pros come in there to teach you. And I think that's kind of their thing now is having the pros available to teach beginners and but it's 80-second right now, 80 seconds. So it's not hard to get to. Parking is very a lot. But like I said, most people that we know that play pickleball here, Sandy, Cicada, they have beautiful outdoor courts in Gladstone, like 8 or 10 courts, and they're full all summer. Yeah. Filming. And so it could be a lucrative deal. But there's really, we played at Cedar Ridge this last summer here, and really only 2 courts, and the asphalt is cracked and not ideal, but it's somewhere to play outside. You know, it was pretty accessible, except I had to carry a broom in my car because they lock the gates, they lock everything up on the weekends.
That's new, yeah.
And-
Access.
So I had to bring a broom, put it through the fence, open the gate to get in.
That's good. Yeah, that's my front yard, so you can leave your front.
Don't keep locked things, you know.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
There's really nothing else for outside here in the club. They have beautiful, they roll in nets. You know, we can have 12, 15 people or 20 people going at a time. But you have to pay, you have to be a member. And that's not cheap. $6 a month, and they used to have a senior, this time they don't do that anymore, so you just kind of stuck, paying a lot of money.
You have to get something broader. I think it's much. Some old guys really.
But I think for most people, it's good to find places. We play at Sandy Baptist Church in Escada.
I'm gonna ask you guys to hold your comments, so you finish your presentation. Sorry. Back to site. Guys.
I'll try to do this. So we looked into resurfacing existing basketball courts, and this is a graphic that we pulled off of the USA Pickleball website. And as you can see, with a typical basketball court that's about 60 feet and 60 feet wide and 94 or width and length, that we can put about 3 pickleball courts on that size of a basketball court. The different areas that we had explored as a team that could possibly be courts that we could resurface was Tupper Park, Timberline Park, and Barwood Park. I'll just go over really briefly because we sat down as a team, we talked about pros and cons and what this would mean for these parks and these amenities and the neighbors nearby. So Tupper Park is about a 1.66 acre park. The current basketball court could fit 3 pickleball courts. Another pro is it would improve the existing amenity and it would increase activities on that site. Some of the downside would be there's no fence around the court. The site has extensive drain issues. It's close to the north side of the homes of the park, limited street access or parking, and potential conflict with shared users. The next site we looked at was Timberline. This is a little under an acre, so about 0.87 acres. This current basketball court will hold 2 pickleball courts. It is fenced on 3 sides. The cons would be it's located in the heart of a neighborhood, higher likely conflict with shared users, and again, limited street parking. We looked at Barlow, and that park is about 0.7 acres. That is the smallest of the basketball courts, and that would fit 1 pickleball court. It does have a short fence, but it's shorter on 3 sides. It has limited street parking and narrow streets. Again, it's located in the heart of the neighborhood, and it's the smallest existing basketball court. So as a team, we talked about this, the feasibility of resurfacing existing basketball courts wasn't the ideal situation. And these parks are set in the heart of neighborhoods. There are many parks and surrounded by homes and limited street parking. Resurfacing existing courts would or could possibly create conflict with user groups. And Tupper has extensive drainage issues, and the court regularly floods, and it's an issue that the staff is currently looking at addressing and fixing. So we came up with another idea, future park development. So we looked at our Parks and Trails master plan, which is our guiding North Star as we move forward to the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. And there are 3 park concepts in the Parks and Trails master plan. And the first one is Deer Point. So you can see on the left here, this is the concept that's in the Parks and Trails master plan. And it has areas and spaces for multi-use fields. And just recently, the council did approve the Bull Run Terrace development, which included this green area, which is park acreage directly next to our existing park. So as a team, this is exciting because now we've got a park that is larger in acreage, and our brains started to get really excited and put places and things where they couldn't move that long. So it'd be really exciting to put pickleball here. It's right, it would be right next to the highway. If it's far enough away from residential, there's room for pickleball. So that was a really fun thing to talk about as a team. The other site that we looked at was Ponder Lane. And so Ponder Lane is a smaller park. This one here has a Shady Meadows development that's currently going in. So depending on, again, on the placement or if there's room for it, but this is one of the concepts that was in the Park and Trails master plan. And this does call for a dog park or an off-leash dog park. So it would be identifying if there's room for pickleball or if this would be the best spot for it. And then lastly, Champion Way, and this was another high likelihood of a great park where it is, depending on where the pickleball courts would go, it has, we can stick it, someplace where it wouldn't be directly across from a residential area, and it does have a lawn, and so this is the concept for that. So that was exciting to talk about, and we felt the key considerations when we were looking at making decisions. It's probably no secret that what's been in the news lately too is that pickleball has a subtle but constant noise that's created some unrest with some communities. So we looked at where would pickleball go, what's the proximity to residents, And Kathleen had submitted a letter, which I believe everyone should have a copy of, that it talks about thinking about pickleball placement prior to resident development coming in. So that's something to consider. And ideally, we would want the site to at least accommodate 4 pickleball courts at the beginning, because 4 pickleball courts is in our Parks and Trails master plan. If we were to meet the needs of the level of service of our current community, it calls for 4 pickleball courts, an additional 2 as the community grows. So in total, Parks and Trails master plan says 6 courts is ideal. I'm sure as pickleball players, it would be exciting to have more. Yeah.
But I think what's important also to remember is that these are neighborhood parks and not communities parks. And so the concept with neighborhood parks is there's not a lot of parking. And, you know, when you're talking about pickleball, you're talking about people coming from outside the neighborhood, driving their cars to this place. And so if you want to put those parks back up there, the concern that, you know, there's really no parking here to speak of. And then, I mean, other than just along in front of people's houses, and that's already taken up a bunch of cars. And then if you go back to Ponder Lane, I had concerns about the parking, adequate parking, just there's, you know, they did put in what I think 4 spots up there. How many spots do they have up there? Can you tell? I would say, you know, I kind of said, hey, you need to have park there. There was a plan that said parking up at the top there. Somewhere up there, there was a, because I had them redo that. I don't think that's the latest.
No, I think
Oh, is that- Okay, yeah, but it's like 4 spots or something. Because I was like, well, it's a dog park. All those people across the street are gonna drive their car and not walk across 211 to get to the dog park. And so you need to have enough places for people to park. And there's no parking along Gunderson there.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna discover a lot of it.
Possibly, yeah, some of it is, yeah. And so then, and then you look at Deer Point, and again, you do need to figure out a little bit of the parking issue, but you've got a lot more street side parking on that one side of on the west side of the existing park. And then once, you know, assuming that even if that other stuff doesn't get developed right away, I don't know what the plan is for the road stuff and how soon that'll get done. It's possible those 4 existing 5 lots will get developed, and so they'll at least have to put in that one part. I don't know if they'll have to put the whole thing in. So that has some potential for parking, street side parking and stuff. So that one seems to be your best bet. Again, getting away from the houses, putting it in the future expansion area would seem to be along the highway there, would be, as from a reduced conflicts would be, I think, your best bets.
Before we get into the comments and suggestions, I'd like to ask any of the committee members if they have any questions or concerns or issues you want to bring up.
What is the proposal for dedicated on the sport? Just the pickleball.
I think at this point we're kind of open overall to the notion. I think that there is probably demand for getting used.
Yeah, it came up in the resurfacing, multi-use, that's one of the factors, so. You can mitigate that, but you also have to balance these all community, not just here.
We are very important.
I know.
It's cheers fire, but.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, not thinking one more there. Consideration, that multi-use consideration is a big one.
Because we're ready to go ahead and hear from our guests with this tonight. If you wouldn't mind, just take a moment for the record, give us your name and your address, so we know who we're talking to. That way we can also create a mailing list if you hear.
Where your life, so behavior.
No. Going to be Waterwood. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Laura, you have a question?
Yeah, well, I have a statement. It's really unethical for a member of council to be participating as a member of this meeting and trying to steer the direction of the Parks Board. So I do take issue with that. the Parks Board is supposed to function as a separate entity, and being a part of a decision-making body should not be participating in a board.
Okay. Thank you very much. Who would like to go first over here?
Very Weston, in my
Address.
382 Pickleball.
Okay. Your comment?
Just, the Cedar Ridge resurfacing that, or their consideration, I saw in your campaign, in your, letter, the high school, if there's any, there's many more tennis courts where there, there's more room. I mean, because it wouldn't be all the tennis courts, and then, it would just be, 3 or 4 courts. So I didn't know if that was a possibility.
I think, and I'm gonna respond to the question and comment, not have Kathleen respond to the question and comment. I think that the key to that is high school and school district property. And I don't want to express too much frustration towards the school district because they are good partners for us. However, we hear it with, about the pickleball courts, we hear about the gym usages, we hear about the baseball field, softball field usages. As good of a partner as they are, they're sometimes less than a reliable partner. Sometimes when people want to go play pickleball, we hear they have to use a room to break in. When they're supposed to be open. Sometimes when we have activities scheduled in the gyms, we get last minute cancellations because there might be a book sale that they decide to schedule 24 hours in advance. So I think when our strongest inkling is, and we want to stretch our precious tax dollars and amenities as far as we can, we also have to be realistic about what makes for a good partnership and a usable partnership that's open at reasonable numbers of hours for our investment. And so while that might be a possibility, I don't know that that's the solution we're looking for.
But that's short, because I'm thinking it's short term. I mean, because I'm hoping you're looking at a long-term solution, so it's a short term. You wouldn't have to resurface the high school court.
Right.
Because they're already in good shape, so that was my comment.
Yes.
And I'm thinking just short, I'm thinking this spring and summer,
As
that
opposed
we have a
to,
decent place to play instead of have to drive to that game.
I believe that.
With something like,
I'm sorry, we're just gonna go down the road, that's okay.
Maureen, Henrietta,
And your address,
39740 Wood Street.
right? And I think Chelsea, yeah, trying on the address, please go ahead.
I was really asking the same things. It looks like it's very nice that you're at least putting consideration future for future parks, because I think it's just gonna keep exploding like it has been. But we're really kind of looking for more. We found some opportunities in Escada, some Gladstone, some, Trappers. We're looking at Willow Park or something, but there's really nothing here except 2 courts at Cedar Ridge. And the one benefit with pickleball is there's a network online. Every court is online. You can tell when it's open, you can tell when it's not. I know before I go somewhere, if Cedar Ridge is on there, they're not open, and we can only be there these hours, so it's not a big deal.
Right.
Because that's the thing you tie into with these courts, so everyone understands what's available when. So, like the short-term solution we need is also the high school. There's parking, ample parking, we're not in the neighborhood, a close neighborhood at all. It would be a great temporary solution.
I mean, again, I'm open to the temporary solutions, I think it would be good, probably none of us are getting younger. And so, we want to get things moving sooner rather than later. But again, we don't really have that control. I'd be more than happy to write a letter to the school district on behalf of the Parks Committee asking for opportunities, but that's only an ask. That's not anything that we can control beyond being able to ask.
And I think that would be all we can ask for DJ, at least ask the question.
But sometimes your questions to the school board may be more readily accepted than our questions to the school board.
So that would be both.
Yeah.
You can get.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you to go knock on
Would you mind spelling your name for the record? So, and then it's because this room's echoey, so when, so
BERNIE. And it's ANDREOTT.
just like I said.
thank you.
Sorry.
Bob Adams, Vicky. For 39084 Durban Street. Okay. With the development of a new park and an integrated port system there. That's how far down the road, 2-4 years.
Well, a lot of it will depend too, because we'll be bringing a list of projects before the council, and then they will help prioritize our next capital improvement project list. We're actually within the next month or two starting the budgetary process for the next biennium. So it could be, your points has been a priority. And so that is one of the things that I know the council has mentioned and was one of the items when I first started. So, not really answering your question, but it could be a year or 2 years from now, but that development has been approved and we're waiting for that to see if they were going to dedicate that land.
They have to dedicate it, right?
Yes, that's my understanding.
We've certainly not talked about this before, but I get the feeling that we're talking a fairly common line that the interim solution now looks like the most feasible way to bridge across until we can develop something.
Well, and again, our option for interim, we saw the 3 sites that are very much stopped down, kinds of things, and then school district properties.
Thank you for the work.
Yeah.
My full name is Charlene, CHARLENE, fine, just like name fine. I interviewed. Yeah.
But rather,
Yeah, anyway, I'm at 39106 Jordan. And I mean, all this makes sense to me, but kind of piggybacking on what they say. If there's a partnership between 2 entities and they come to an agreement for something, how do you, I guess, get both entities to do what they should do? And so I guess what's frustrating to me is, we pay the fee and then we go and show up and we can't get in. And then on top of that, we pay taxes, between us, we probably pay $9,000 taxes during the year. And so I guess how to approach the school to get them to do what they've agreed to do and what we paid for them to do. And I don't have kids in school, so the only thing it goes to is hoping to use the facility. So.
well, and again, I'd be more than happy to write a letter expressing those concerns on behalf of the Parks Board, the Parks and Trails Advisory Committee, and on behalf of the community. However, individual voices spoken simultaneously are much louder than individual. And so.
So it should be out there with signs and placards and what, right around front on the stage.
Which one's important? No, I think respectfully, just like join the seat. But I think that, we can control what we can control. We don't, the gate is set by time. We don't control that. They do, and so, that's their responsibility. If the lock doesn't work, we control, if the lock on the box with them, we can control that. And we will do
Yes.
the best that we can to make sure that everything we can control works appropriately.
So I guess my question that I'm getting to is there someone that we could approach that you've made the agreement with the school to see if we could do anything to improve, you know, the access, I guess.
Oh, but there is, and I'll ask staff to look into it. We probably have your name and address now. And we'll go get back to you on that,
Okay,
okay?
yeah, because it's like, there's two entities, but who, you know, who controls that? It's like, who makes sure that both entities are doing what they need to do, and that there's nobody that does that, so.
And sometimes as appointed or elected officials, as volunteer committee members. And as citizens, that's part of your role also, is to hold our feet to the fire.
Yeah, and if we know who would be the best person to approach, I have no problem with trying to, you know, reach out and find out what's the best way to improve it. The other thing that I thought too is I've driven by the high school courts, and I know you've already spoken to this, but I've driven by them at different times of the day, and there's never been a time when all of them are in use. So I just know that at least one of them could be resurfaced and not, it wouldn't be a burden to them, so.
I can speak to that one, so you need to look at competition, so their size for when there's a tournament. So
No,
so they would be vacant quite often, because it's only when the tournaments play there, they do enough courts to go rotations.
And that's really the nice feature of Playtime Scheduler out there online. Everything's got on their phones. You can just set those tennis courts up as a site. You can look at it until they're available. And now we'll take a relationship with the school as well, an agreement, which everybody knows.
Right.
I'm Vicky Ellis, yes.
And what they're addressing.
Yes, yeah.
But
Ideally, if we do get dedicated pickleball courts, it would be very nice to have designated size and the courts lined up. And that's really not the situation, but by all means, we understand we need to use this for basketball or whatever else. So we're accustomed to playing with multiple lines and can be better on ours. So that's not an issue for us.
we can color code them, make them purple.
They are actually, that we do, yeah, as long as they're consistent color coded, and not this side's yellow and that side's green.
Yeah,
So it's like,
we
do that a lot. We noted when we first started playing pickleball, we went out to Mahalo for visiting some friends out there, and we were amazed that they have 4 dedicated pickleball courts in Mahalo, which is a fairly small community. And they were occupied, we were there for 2 days, and the only time there were not people on the courts was at night.
Although they are kids too.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty remarkable. So there is definitely not coming need for it. I see an interest in it. And even with just the small group we've got here, it's not unusual when we're using Cedar Ridge to have 15, 16 people sign up for a session. So it's not like they wouldn't lose.
And you could charge them.
Yeah.
If they were, especially if they're on Playtime Scheduler, people know they're gonna get a Friday. They'll pay them to something close to go.
Yeah, unless they pick up the question. I've heard really high marks. I don't play pickleball, but from my friends in Estacada about how well it is down there. I know they use some church organizations, but how are they? What are their sites? Are they all public? Or are they?
No, Playtime Scheduler.
Yeah.
I mean, what are
The church gymnasium is available for us.
That's the indoor.
Yeah, and that's the indoor facility, which we would really love to get to the next question I have, because I haven't quite done this, but the other one is an outdoor one.
It's a school tennis. I think it's getting ready. Yeah, 6 or 8 quarters. And there's 3 line.
So my question is, I never heard anything about what resolution was for the swim center next to the elementary school. Is that going to be retained as a swimming area, or are you looking for, reusing that area or using it for something different?
I'm gonna turn that over to staff.
Absolutely, I'm happy to give an update on this. So in 2021, 2022, there was a pool exploratory task force that was actually developed by the council, and that group went through extensive study with consultants as far as the viability of reopening the facility or using it for other purposes. And ultimately, after like quite a bit of meetings, public engagement, it was determined that those sites were in such disrepair that they shouldn't be salvaged or saved. And so what will happen next is focusing on this park improvement. The council will be having a council goal setting session with the city manager. That might be something that a subject will come up. But we're focusing on the park now, and we'll be having conversations about what to do with the future of the front of the quote unquote community campus site at a later date. And so it's not one or the other, it's really going to be both. The timing's just a little bit staggered. So
Because I was thinking, that's a good size for being able to put indoor courts and indoor, obviously, this time of year. Preferable, it's in the park to play anyway. Yeah, so it was just a curiosity if that was something that was.
at this point, it's discussions are on the table.
Well, that's a recommendation I'd like to have discussed.
I do want to thank you guys for your patience with us. I know it's been a long evening for you. Lots of exciting stuff tonight. I hope you are.
We're very impressed with what we've got planned. It's like. Really nice. Yeah.
I'm going to take the opportunity as public, as a member of the public, to put my comments in the record and just add to them that I didn't know that we were even considering converting our ball fields or basketball courts into, that's why I'm here tonight. Because I was like, hey, what? And the reason I'm here tonight is because I was like, what about all those little kids I see playing on those basketball courts when I drive by or walk by all the time? They're not here. They don't know that this is being proposed. I don't know that we've done any outreach to those folks. But I can bet that there's going to be, they're going to be shocked to see a bunch of old folks wanting to, take over their courts, and it's going to lead to some conflict. And so I would have liked to have known about this as a city councilor before this, to know that it was even being proposed. But since I didn't, that's why I'm here tonight, to kind of say, wait a minute, I see some conflicts, and I don't want us to kind of pit the old folks against young folks. And I think there's some opportunities to find a win-win here, and I hope we do. I don't know what the options are for that, using the high school, whether they're using redoing the tennis courts at the high school would lead to less conflict than the middle school courts that you have. I don't know if that's an option or something. I'm just saying that that's just something to consider. I didn't give up my rights to be a citizen and give comments to any kind of public meeting that I got elected as city councilor. So and like I said, we have a liaison, and Lori's the liaison, and she has a certain role she plays, and I, like I said, I would have liked to have known about that. That's the kind of thing I would hope to hear, but I appreciate and respect her opinion about that. I also feel like I have, if I wouldn't be down here if I wasn't surprised by this, but I'm excited about the potentials that have been identified and the opportunity to find a win-win. So thank you.
I think when we, Cedar Ridge, when they lined those two courts, they lined them away from the basketball hoops. And we played with young people too. It's not just us. So it were a very mixed year when we all played on courts, we all played together, the young and was good in that. But the kids came once or twice and played basketball. They were fine with us, we were fine with them. But I do think here, like at Cedar Ridge, since it's kind of a community thing around with the kids coming whenever they want to play ball, I think that's something to consider. I mean, anywhere we go, that's what water teams I don't see the tennis courts being used as much as I see the basketball courts. Yeah, it's right here. And that's probably something you could schedule. This is letting have a basketball court and people play ball. I think it's like, yeah.
Anyway, thank you again very much. You're welcome to stay for the next topic. On our agenda is integrated pest management. But seriously, it's a good topic.
I did a good job when I these pests.
Sitting up the bank. That's the main pest control, our neighbors.
Don't worry about it.
Way hard. At gym on Tuesday or Fridays, it's in the morning, they can even available and interested in just to see what it's like. I think it's fun.
Your work here is appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It was nice to meet you. Bye.
Question.
Sure.
Also, but if we sort of think about the stop, yeah. Like a couple of that. It doesn't matter.
Well, no, it hasn't been, we don't have license. There are some really creative partnerships that we want to talk about here. Community spend is an example, with the pickleball folks to help fundraise. And that was also part of Carol's efforts when she worked with the school district. A lot of that was fundraised, and so there's a lot of potential there for future partnerships with sponsorships.
Before we go forward.
Where does the fees, they pay the parks board, but then. That's it. Parks department. For the record. But yes, so it stays within the department, right?
It stays with their.
So that's a very fair point and to make about paying the speed and whatnot. Yeah, and who really is.
Before we leave the time, I do want to, I did get a commit to write a letter. I'll write a draft letter if you guys are comfortable with it, I'll send it out and we can have a discussion about it in our next meeting. If you're okay with it, we'll send it. If you're not, we'll modify it. But I don't want to forget that. Let's go ahead and move in to talking about the pest management. Do you want to introduce her or just jump?
Well, I would love to introduce her, yes, to our park manager, but she's been working really hard on the integrated pest management since she was going to school for your mentorship program and your leadership program. So this is really kind of a nice point to get here. It's been fun to watch you like go through that program and get this point. So cheers to you.
It was so exciting that Castle went.
Yeah, right.
So I presented to you all before the IPM that we've been working on. On November 17th, I met with the Parks Board IPM working group to go page by page through the draft copy of the Department Integrated Pest Management Policy. As a team, we discussed items needing clarity and made changes if needed. Assuming that you all had a chance to review the suggested edits, I will save you the time of going through each item line by line. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to address them right now. I'd also really like to thank the working group again for your time and your assistance that you put into this policy.
Very good.
Any questions, comments, revisions?
This is going to be a staff policy.
An operational policy.
Okay, so it's not going to council for approval,
Correct.
but this will be something that you guys will want to.
And we'll review it annually here with the Parks Board.
Good, okay. I'm excited about it. This topic came up a couple of years ago. With the board And we bubbled around with it, developing a little 1 page or 1.5 page or just really basic policy to try and get something on the record. But it certainly was not nearly as comprehensive as what you're doing. I absolutely applaud you for it, I know which work was in this. Yeah, and this one looks very nice, very straightforward. Has everybody had a chance to review it, read it, any comments or questions before I ask?
So if we wanted to make a motion, the language would be a motion to approve the use of the Operation Parks and Recreation Department integrated assessment policy.
I would leave that to one of the committee members, the subcommittee members to make that
I'll
motion.
make a motion to adopt it.
As stated.
Updated.
As stated. Here we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? No? All righty. David, are you okay with that policy? Good here, and aye there.
Aye.
Okay, there we go. I thought I heard it, I wasn't sure. All right. You're like, Michelle, what do you have for us? Staff updates.
Okay, I'll go briefly and then I'll hand it off to the rest of the staff, but just real quick, an update on the Cedar Ridge Trail, which is the connector trail from the community campus park down to the River Park. We had an individual out there that helped us design the path. And so he went out there, walked it, flagged it, put GPS points down, gave us a document that we will use to go out and actually bid the work to do the construction. It'll be a combination of having somebody come in professionally to help us and volunteer work. So we're working through that. We did hike it and it's going to be a really beautiful, windy, steep path. We're really excited. It'll be built up for pets and bikes to get down to the Sandy River Park. And then the team's working through cost recovery. Thank you so much for the joint work session with cost recovery. Hopefully everybody found that informative and exciting that the department is moving through what will eventually lead to a policy. And so that's what we're working on now is the finalized continuum. We're doing the unveil of our budget, which means we're going to see where we currently exist as far as cost recovery and then set our goals as departments. And then eventually what will happen is that policy will be blessed by council. So we'll have an operating structure as far as financial sustainability to work under. And then that is all I have. And I guess I'll hand it off to John if you want to go for the update real quick.
Perfect. On the recreation and senior service side, we are fully staffed since the first time I've been here. On October 31st, we hired Carolina Smallwood, who's our new client services coordinator. And on December 29th, Amy Lytle, our new recreation coordinator, started. On the senior services side, Carolina has hit the ground running, super impressed with the work she's done. Two things that I wanted to point out in particular is the Medicaid voucher program. So some of the services we offer to our senior citizens are reimbursed through federal like OAA funding. And so we get reimbursed through those funds. What got lost and kind of the transition between staffing was this subsection of Medicaid money that we also get reimbursed for at a substantially higher rate. And I had to explain about this much to Carolina until she dug down in the books, went through everyone on her caseload, found out who was Medicaid, who wasn't, reached out to their case managers, backtracked vouchers for an entire year. And we're talking, not small amount of change. Our OAA funded reimbursement is like $250 per home delivered meal. The Medicaid voucher is $12.25. So when you backtrack and lose worth of 7 meals a day through a substantial amount of people, it's huge. And that was all on her, done by her with a lot of guidance and supervision. Another thing that I'm really impressed with her about is a respite program, which is something we used to offer here called Change of Pace. The respite program is a program for individuals with early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, memory loss issues. It's a time where they can come in and recreate. It's a time where the caregivers can have some respite to take care of the things they need to do. that is something that hasn't been open since the pandemic, and she's worked really hard. To open that up, we went as a team and observed like Acevedo's restful program. We've worked with a volunteer named Samantha who's really engaged doing this work and marketing it, put together a plan, lesson plans of how we're going to run that. People are going to get the sign up in February, and we're going to start a restful program here going forward in March. And that's all kind of with Carolina's work, which was pretty impressive. Some of the other things we're doing, we're working on our congregate meals. Another service we used to offer for seniors was a place to come and eat. We have a kitchen right now that is not up to code, and so we haven't been able to offer that service. So as a team, we've worked together to see what can we do, how can we offer a place where we seniors to come and congregate, get together, and get that nutritious meal. We're working with the farm and the executive director of NUPA have offered to use their facility and their food at this menu, which hasn't been shown. It's kind of getting the approval for that since it is OA funded. We have to serve nutritional guidelines. We have to submit their menu, make sure it's approved. And there's a little bit of back and forth, but we're really confident that that's going to be happening amongst a little bit as well. On the recreation side, I lost my notes here. Fit down. Oh, one of the things that correlates really to what we're talking about is this aggressive idea to put together information for the community campus park development. One of the things that our recreation team is doing is working on table events. So getting our 2 recreation coordinators, Carol Cohen, Amy Lytle, and the rest of our team together to go to the school district to Mount Storm basketball and have a table event where we have information for the community to let them know that we have this part of their involvement. But it's super important to come to these other houses, to go to like the city of Chandler this morning, or to go to all these community places and make sure they know that they're this valuable. The winter classes are off and running. Our recreation guide is out. Mountain Storm practices and games are underway. Big shout out to Carol Cohen and Amy Lytle for getting all those going. And I think the thing that I've been maybe the most proud of since I've been here is the holiday lights and light that we wrapped them up. Holidays are always like heartwarming and amazing, and to have such positive feedback from like everyone, and just to kind of see it and be there and be part of it, I was touched in holiday spirit, and really proud of the work we did as a team.
I was really fun at the event function.
You were not the only one. Yeah, we got a lot of feedback. Please reschedule. It really just wasn't time in our schedules to do it. And yeah, that storm took a toll on that part, and it honestly wasn't safe.
Yeah.
Probably the right optics to go in and have a holiday happy hour for the very next day. But the goal was that's a long-term thing. That's gonna happen. So that was much to have to report. Thank you.
Lots of work doing it first.
So I feel like we spent a lot of December in Mining Park.
It's
really touching to be a part of it. We grumbled a little bit here and there trying to install and tear down, but overall it was really rewarding and just a great experience to be part of. Since the 23rd of December, all we've been doing, it feels like, is storm response. First, we had the ice storm, and Brandon and I were able to come in and give some support to Public Works and the rest of city facilities and do some de-icing around town. And then the following week, we're hit with that windstorm, and we've been doing response ever since, responding to down trees and safety concerns. Trees. The Tipple Creek Trail is clear and open for users again.
That was on it yesterday. Wonderful.
We are just about done getting the holiday lights down and secure, and in a report, we do not have any vandalism.
Nice. If you live in a respectful community, absolutely.
Full of Christmas spirit.
Christmas time. Anything else?
We bought a truck. We've got approved to replace a vehicle that we lost through a non-injury accident, and So we have the truck and it's out there on use and doing good things.
Good.
That's it.
All right. Michelle, anything else for we put in the order?
Dell.
Anything? Oh. You're adjourned.
Thanks, everybody else.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, newsletter.
I am here. Hi. Sorry, I was a little late, so we had to call up the mountain, so I apologize for chiming in a little late there.